Okay, welcome everybody. So glad you could join us today. It's so kind of Hilla to join us all the way from Germany in the evening, her time there. So we're deeply appreciative that you're willing to do this for us, Hilla. And I've had the pleasure of working with her in several capacities in the welfare community, the behavior community, and I know that she's a very wise person who loves parrots and their quality of life. So I know that we're all going to pick up something new today that we can take home. So just remember to make a few notes if you need to, but take something new home to your parents. So I'll see you at the end, Hilla, and I'll turn it over to you now. Thanks everybody for being here.
Thank you so much, Anne, for having me. I really appreciate talking to you today. I want to introduce myself because my name is Hilla Niemann. I'm working from Germany, and due to working online, I'm already there in your home, so not so far away. I have got an MSc in biology, and I am certified parrot behavior consultant of the International Association of Animal Behavior Consultants. English is not my mother tongue, so I will surely say something that's totally stupid or funny or something like that. So feel free to laugh at any time. And if you don't understand something, just interrupt me and I will try to explain it in another way so that you hopefully understand it. So please excuse my English. This is not my mother tongue. Today we are talking about foraging for parrots, and this is one of my favorite topics. I love to talk about this because it's something that we sometimes forget or that we sometimes really don't understand. So let's step a little bit deeper into this thing that usually should be part of our parrot keeping in every home. When we talk about foraging, I just want to begin with a short video which we made in Costa Rica a few years ago and San Isidro, where we just watched a scarlet macaw. And you see here, this bird has got a beak that is used and he's trying to eat an almond, and whoop, there it goes. So living in the wild means there is no bowl where the birds are fed. Searching for food in the wild is totally different than that what our birds are doing. Parrots spend 6 to 8 hours a day in searching for food in the wild. 6 to 8 hours. And not all nutrients are always available. We always try to put all the nutrients that the birds need in the bowl so that every need is met. But in the wild, there are always situations where something is missing. So you have to search for it or you don't have it in special times of the year. And that's always a problem for the birds. They need strength and intelligence and manipulative skills to get enough to eat. Remember, eating in the wild is not sitting there and there is an almond right beside me. Eating in the wild means you wake up in the morning and then you need to fly to a tree where there is food for you, which is not the next tree beside you. It might be 2 or 3 kilometers or miles away. And if you are lucky, there is something to eat, and there has been yesterday nobody who's eaten it already. If you are unlucky, there is not enough food, and you need to have the strength to find the next tree where you can have something to eat. So in the wild, eating means that you get enough calories to survive this day and to see the next day. And this is really, really not easy. You will not find an obese bird in the wild because they are busy the whole day trying to get enough calories to survive and hopefully to raise some youngs, which is more and more time consuming and more energy consuming than we might assume. Parrots must recognize and find a wide variety of food. I had an online working group last week. And in this group, I asked the owners if I would put you outside and ask you how many plants can you recognize? Tell me how many. And they said, oh, 10 or 20 when I'm lucky. And I said, are you sure? And they were not sure. So a lot of people cannot recognize plants in the wild, especially not if they can eat them. Yet, just remember when you are a parrot, you need to know what you can eat, when you can eat it, how much you can eat it, and where to find it. And remember it next year and the year after and the year after and the year after. You have to be very, very intelligent to survive there and to recognize your food. and many parrots eat unripe fruit. I have got an African grey, and her name is Hope. She's disabled, she cannot fly, but she's a wonderful bird, and she didn't eat apple. And we have a small apple tree in the garden which didn't fruit because it was very young. This year is the first year where we had our first apples. Usually when Hope sees an apple, she doesn't do anything because she doesn't like apple. And then she saw me eating one of those apples from our tree, and I realized that she was following me, moving the fruit to my mouth and back. And then I asked her, would you like to have a bit? And this was the first time she ate apple. This apple was not so sweet, it was not so juicy, it was a real apple from a real tree and not from the supermarket. And she didn't like the supermarket apple. She liked apple from a tree that were more not so juicy and were not so sweet. A lot of parrots eat unripe fruit. They don't want it so sweet and they don't need it so sweet. So when we try to feed our birds, we just have to look a little bit more in the wild to see how they live there and how they survive there. Usually I make surveys in my webinars, but now we decided that we don't make a survey. We just try to give you some thoughts where you can answer in the chat if you like to. So how much time do your parrots at home search for food? I always have answers from my clients, and they say, my birds don't look for food, they just eat from the bowl. This is what I regularly hear. They don't do any foraging. Then sometimes they hide food, but the birds are not really interested. Some have tree toys and they are used. This is seldom, but it happens. And they are the other ones, the tree toys are used so quickly that it's hardly worthy of effort. I consult a blue-fronted Amazon. Her name is Emilia. Emilia is a wonderful bird. She's an older bird, and her hobby is eating. Emilia loves to eat, and she's a little bit obese. Emilia had a lot of treat toys where the owner put treats in. And she was so quick, it was unbelievable. It was like, oh, a race. Faster, 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 eating. And then after about 5 minutes, she was done. And the owner was so disappointed because all those treat toys lasted only for 5 minutes because Emilia was so quick. And Emilia was sitting there smiling from one ear to the other and saying, okay, what's next? That was very, very funny. I love Emilia. She's a wonderful bird. Then we have the owners that only feed from tree toys. These birds are very experienced. The owners know what they do, but we don't have a lot of them here. And then we've got those owners that say, my bird is too stupid, it does not use tree toys. I don't think that any bird is so stupid that it wouldn't use a tree toy. I think this tree toy is not the one that this bird should get. So I think every bird can work for food, but not with this toy or not with this thing that we offered him. So this is an answer that I usually say, okay, we have to do some work here in this case. Okay, talking about tree toys. Parrots are made to search for food. This is something that they are born with, if we say born, so that they come out of the egg with. The whole body is there to search for food. You see this Amazon here, and when you see this bird, you would say, oh, it's not looking so good. When we have a parrot and we see this bird like the one on this picture, we just take a closer look at it. And when I see this picture as a consultant, I say, okay, the beak is not in good shape. It's too long, a little bit too long, and it's not so smooth as it should be. And we see that this bird is sitting there like John Wayne. And this shows me that this bird is obese. There is a lot of fat in this body, and the plumage is not in a good shape. So he's plucking. And the feathers are not shiny, they are not green, they are more gray, yellow than green. So the whole body of this bird shows me that the keeping of this bird is not so good. This bird has got an unhealthy diet and it's definitely not working for food. Otherwise the beak would be in another shape. So when we see a bird like this, we must think about feather plucking and feather gnawing is something that the bird shows because he's lacking a good diet, and he's lacking something that he can do with his body. The whole body of this bird is made to find food and to work for food. And when we see how he's sitting there, just so deep, with his legs so wide from another, apart from another, we see that this bird needs a little bit more exercise, a little bit more good and healthy diet, and he needs to work with his beak and with his food. We call this podium manipulation. So looking at the picture can show us a lot about how this bird behaves in the and how it should usually be kept. This bird is not in a good condition. When we talk about feather plucking, we must be honest to ourselves. We cannot keep a bird busy for 4 to 8 hours, because we are humans and we all have a family, we have a job, and we have other things to do. We can increase the time that the bird is searching for food, but we cannot increase it that much that problems like feather plucking can be solved with foraging. It can help, yes. But when you've got so heavy behavioral problems like feather plucking, there are different ways to work with, and foraging is only one part of it. We've got working groups in Germany with feather plucking birds, and we work on different tasks like foraging, like training, like communication, like working against learned helplessness, all these kinds of stuff. We've got post-traumatic birds. All these things are kept in mind when we talk about feather plucking. Foraging does surely help, of course, and it's a need for those birds. But there's a new scientific study that showed that birds that feather pluck do not work so hard for food and do not have so much interest in foraging than birds that have got a healthy plumage. So these birds need more encouragement to work for their food. They need more choice that are easy available for them, because they don't want to work so hard for food. Foraging helps, but it does not solve behavioral problems, especially not feather plucking. So this is a pair of Myers parrots, and this is a small foraging toy. This is usually for cats and dogs. I always love to go in the stores around the corner and see what rabbits got, what cats have, what dogs have, because we've got a lot of toys that we can also use for parrots. And here the owner put some sunflower seeds in, and you see those birds are busy. They don't eat it, this tissue, they just search for food in it. And they are quiet, they are busy, and they are happy with these toys. So it is believed that intrinsic motivation to eat can be satisfied when the animal is able to satisfy both the appetitive, which means the exploration, search, and procurement of food, and the consumptive, manipulation, selection, and actual consumption of food phases for foraging. Let me explain this in a special way. Imagine yourself calling a girlfriend and say, okay, would you like to meet me for a coffee in town? And then you decide both where to go. You need to go there by car or by bus or something else, or you walk, and you meet there in the cafe, and you sit there down and decide what to eat. This is the appetitive part. You go there, you choose the restaurant, you meet, or the cafe, you meet there, and you take the card and you decide which cake you eat and which drink you have. And then the cake comes and you decide if you use the fork or if you use a spoon. You decide if you want milk or if you want sugar, and then you begin to put the food into your mouth. This is the consumptive part. And this is all the part of foraging. And this is different from staying at home, meeting in Zoom, and having a cup of coffee beside your computer. Enrichment incorporates both activities: going to the coffee shop or to the cafe where you meet, and having and eating there. So when you talk about foraging, you need to have both the appetitive and the consumptive part, which is a little bit difficult, because when you've got an aviary, the ways are usually very, very short. And there you see, okay, I cannot do what we do in the wild, because otherwise I would have a car and drive somewhere else where my bird can eat. which makes it a little bit more difficult for the owner to offer toys where the bird needs to move to the toy, because usually the aviaries are not that big. Usually enrichment should stimulate appetitive and consumption behavior. These are all needs of the bird, and these improves their well-being. Well-being is part of our job in our parrot keeping. How well does my bird feel? So when we talk about foraging, we try to just encourage them to use as much time as possible in this activity so that they are busy during the day. This is the study that you can find online. Here, you think down on the slide, you can find the link. I always love to search online and for new scientific studies. And this is totally online, so you can use it and see it there. It was very interesting because they tried to increase the foraging time of making grays, and they did it with an apparatus which we don't need to rebuild at home. Just don't be afraid. But I try to explain what was happening there. So what they did in this test is they wanted the bird to take a marble from the trough. Here, this is the control group where they did nothing, only bowl. And this bird needed to take the marble to the opening of the marble run. And then there were 3 levels where the bird just needed to open this tube and turn, lift, and pull. And when they were all open, this marble ran down. And when the marble ran down, food came down with other marbles, and the bird could eat. So that was really not easy. And also, the food, just wait here, was packed in plastic containers that the bird needed to open. So it was not that way that the bird could say, oh, wonderful, I can eat because all the food is in the bowl. No, it was still in plastic containers which the bird needed to open. So this bird needed to do a lot of work to get food. So they were able to double the time that the birds spent in foraging, and compared to the control group. And every individual had an increased daily foraging time of 1 hour. We do workshops every 3 months here where we build toys. And afterwards, I get a lot of videos from the participants that show me how their birds work for food. This is one of the toys I just want to show you. She made on her own. This is the intelligent part here. This is the other one who's waiting. And you see they're in such a good condition. The plumage is wonderful. The birds don't have any behavioral problem. And the owner makes wonderful toys. I will show you some videos in the next slide. You see this one is working and this one is eating. So you can ask yourself which one is the intelligent part, that one that is eating or that one that is working, because this bird only waits. After these workshops, when I get the videos, I ask the owners, do the birds spend more time in foraging? And every owner tells me, yes, they are very, very busy and they work hard for their food and they've got a lot of fun. So offering them toys is a wonderful way to just keep them busy during the day. So we talked a lot about why we do this and how the birds can do it, but we don't know how to just put it into our daily work and our daily schedule, because we are all humans. We all have other things to do. We want our birds to be as happy as possible because we put them in our homes. Before we step into our to-do list, I just want to give you a short impression about how the bird might feel. You might remember when we had Corona and we had shutdowns. And in the first week of shutdown, we just made our office work and all the things that we needed to do anyway. And on the second day, we put our clothes out and took all the stuff that we don't need out. And then in the next day, we just went to the kitchen and cleaned the kitchen and all these kinds of stuff. And after 3 weeks, we just thought about meeting our friends, meeting our family, going on a party or something like that. Our birds live always in Corona. they always have the same social contacts. They always have the same aviary. And our job as owners is to make their lives as funny, as wonderful, and as interesting as possible, because they cannot move outside because it's not safe for them. They live in our homes. So we need to make their lives as wonderful as possible. This is our job. I know that you are all busy outside there, but there are always opportunities for our birds. And this is what we do now in this webinar, after seeing that there is a motivation and there is a body that needs to work. And otherwise we might see problems like feather plucking, like screaming or something like that. And we can address those problems if we let them work for food. Okay, so here's our to-do list now. Time budget, hygiene, which treats, skills and knowledge of the bird, keeping and board or self-made. Let's see. I cannot see the chat now and I don't answer it. So maybe you want to write for all the other people that are now listening, how much time your birds, you spend per day preparing materials for foraging for your birds. While you do this, I will show you a video of two Payonos, which I consult. These Payonos had problems with screaming. You see here they stand in front of the window. And what this bird did was sitting there and screaming like hell out of the window looking outside. And the owner said, well, I cannot hear this anymore, it's horrible. What can I do? The first thing is we blocked the site so that they couldn't see so much and were not seen. And then we just put a lot of food toys on the tree, on the play stand. And you see how busy they are. And they are not screaming anymore because now they need to work for their food. Okay. So let's talk about the time budget. Always collect suitable materials. There are a lot of things in your home that you can use and that are safe for your birds. I recommend that you put a box in your kitchen or in somewhere in your house where you say, okay, this is the box for the birds. And all the stuff that I can use come inside there from every family member. You just tell them this can be used and this can be not used. And all the things come in this box. You will need them, definitely. And it should my dear, it's saving times. What additional material do you need? There's always something that you need when you make a toy that is not at home. Believe me, because I do it regularly, and then I miss this thing and that thing and that thing, and you need to buy this too. So just make a list, and when you've got this list, order online. Then it comes to your home. You just want to save time because you don't have so much time. But when you know what you need and you've got your list there one time in a month, you just order online what you need. And these are always smaller things that you can buy when you just go to the supermarket or something like that. And if you cannot buy it there, you just order online so that comes into your home. Plan time into your daily routine. Routine is a wonderful thing because then you know these 10 minutes are for the birds. I don't need more, or these 15 minutes are for my bird. So that you just make a small toy out of paper, out of cardboard or something like that, or you wash something that is for the birds, something like that. This 15 minutes. You have brought this bird into your home. And if you don't have 50 minutes for your bird, despite cleaning, which is not that funny, I haven't ever met a person who said, well, I love cleaning, but 50 minutes for enriching your bird, why do you have a bird? So this is part of your daily routine that you just spend a few minutes for making the life of your bird nice. Delegate. When you are not living alone, you've got a family. You do a lot for your family. Everybody does. And when you need help, just tell people, okay, can you please put a hole inside there? Or can you wash this for me? Or can you just put the toy in the cage? Or when I'm not at home, just remember that. Delegate so that you have got more time and that you can relax from time to time. You are not alone. And if you ask politely and if you explain that this is important for the health, mental health and physical health of your bird, that you need some help, you can delegate some things. So that your husband can just change a toy or put the old toy out and just move another toy around, something like that, or put some marbles in the food bowl, whatever. But there's still something to do, and I'm sure that when you've got a family, they would love to help you with the care of your birds. Here is one toy that was made from an owner. She put holes in it and put some sunflower seeds in it so that the bird can forage there when it sits there on the rope. Prepared properly so that family members can also offer enrichment. What I always recommend is just make an appointment with yourself on your calendar and say, okay, in these 2 hours, I make treat toys for my birds. And I put all the treat toys, the foraging toys in a box. And when I'm not at home, my family can enrich my birds because all the toys are here. They only need to change it. And this is easier for your family. They understand the need that your birds need to work for food, and they have toys there. If you just order, you make treat toys and foraging toys for my family, for my bird, nobody will do it. But when you make their lives easier, everybody has a benefit from that. Your bird, your family member, and you. So just schedule a treat toy on your making day on your calendar and try to just build some treat toys. And I think some foraging toys, and I think everybody will benefit from that. Plan to rotate toys. This can also help, that you put from one toy from A to B, from B to C, from C to D, and from D to A. Just move them around, and when your bird comes back to the aviary, you say, oh, well, I know all the stuff that is hanging here, but wasn't it different last time I was here? And why does it hang there now? And can I use it there? It's not the same environment, and the bird needs to adjust, and this makes its life interesting. So move the toys around, just make sure that they hang so that the bird can use it. Suitable material. This is blue and gold macaw, and these birds also screamed. And what we did is we made some foraging toys of PVC, and you see it's not that easy getting enough food. The bird is very, very busy getting this out. It's easily made. It's not so difficult. And here you see the other toy that is hanging here was also was opened, so it was not really a challenge. So what we can use is paper. Paper is a wonderful way to make treat toys. There are so different ways. Even paper, when you see from tea, the small tea things where you put tea in, I don't know the English word at the moment, which you can use to put some food in. Cardboard. Cardboard can also be used. We had a workshop about enrichment here in Germany, and then we mentioned cardboard, and we talked, believe me, 45 minutes about cardboard. I didn't expect that. It was unbelievable. 45 minutes about cardboard. Everybody had questions. Which color? How can we use it? Can we use this cardboard? Is it too hard? Is it too soft? My dear, corrugulated cardbox is a wonderful thing. There are toys for cats where they can just use their foods. And there you can put wonderful toys in, treats in it. You can use them wonderful for foraging toys. Fold out plastic containers can be used. PVC pipes, like you've seen in the video here, wonderful. You can make wonderful toys from PVC. Stainless steel screws and nuts can be used, and woodwicker basket. What you should never use is toilet paper rolls that were in the toilet room or in the bathroom. Everything that is done through the bathroom door is out, because you have more bacteria in your bathroom. It doesn't matter how much and how good you clean. There is always a more density of bacteria in the bathroom. So you do not use anything that is gone through that door. Never, ever use toilet paper rolls. I've seen so many birds with infections from E. coli. So please don't do this anymore. You can use them from a kitchen paper if you want to, but everything that is gone through that doors is out, not for birds. And when you've got a bird that suffers from feather plucking, or especially those that look down their belly, especially cockatoos, they sit there and then they look down and look at their belly. And when you just make a swab of their cloaca or something like that, they often have E. coli infections. I think they've got body pain, they've got belly pain, because they don't eat the proper diet, and they always have a little bit more bacteria than they should have. And when they've got pain in their stomach and in their belly, they look down and see, okay, there's rumor again. So please don't use any toilet paper rolls that were in the bathroom or that they were in the toilet. Thank you. And we've got cork. Cork is a wonderful enrichment. It's difficult when you make toys of cork, but it helps gnawing, and you can put a lot of stuff in it when you put some holes in it. So cork is always a good idea, because birds that gnaw a lot at cork and at balsa have better beaks. I see a lot of birds like this Amazon or African greys that have got beaks in very, very horrible shapes. And the first thing that these birds, when I consult, get is they get cork and they get balsa holes, balsa wood. So balsa wood is something that helps birds gnawing that usually do not gnaw anymore because the beak is in such a bad shape. Balsa wood is very, very soft, like cardboard, and birds love it. So here are some ideas for foraging toys. Please excuse, I forgot to put, this was the last slide and I put it in the presentation a few minutes before I went online. And here you see, these are espresso cups, and the birds need to just put it down to get the food that is in. It's not that easy, but it's easily made. And this is another one of paper. The bird is already eating here. And this is an African grey. A little bit hectic. So you see what you can make of paper. Wonderful tree toys. This was never ever used with eggs. We don't use any cardboard where eggs were in, because on the shells of the eggs there might be salmonella, and these are on the inside of used egg cardboard. So please only use those ones that are never used with eggs. Okay, these are only a few ideas when you work with paper, and you can make a lot of wonderful toys with those things. Hygiene, better be safe than sorry when we talk about foraging toys. Can it be washed and cleaned with a damp cloth? If not, can you just keep it clean? Can it be put in the dishwasher? If so, wonderful, put it in the dishwater. Just make sure that it's not dirty anymore. Is it easy to reach? When you put a foraging toy into an aviary and you just need to move to the very fast corner of the aviary to put this toy out, how often would you do this? One time in a week? Or 2 times or 3 times? Most of the time it hangs there for years because it's so difficult to reach it and to put it out and to clean it there. So when you've got foraging toys that are not destructible and destroyed by the birds, and that you need to clean, like this toy here in the picture, make sure that you can reach it easily to put it out, to clean it, and then to put it back again. If it's in the last corner of the cage or in the last corner of the aviary, especially when you've got a territorial bird that does not want to be in the aviary, you will have difficulties to get it out, and then you will clean it less often, which means that we've got problems with bacteria here in this part of the keeping. So just when it's toy that is reused and that you need to clean from time to time. It's in the part of the cage where you can just reach it very, very easy. Can it be used multiple times? If it can be used multiple times, you have to just clean it. So what treats can we use when we talk about foraging? This is always a high topic, because usually birds love to work for food, especially when this food has got a high value for them. I love to work for chocolate. I'm honest. I love chocolate. I eat chocolate. But parrots should not eat chocolate. So when we talk about treats, we ask, what species do we have? It is very, very important if we have a galah, or if we've got a budgie, or if we've got a macaw, or if we've got an African grey. It's not the same. These are all different species. The problem in parrot keeping is always that people tell us, oh, wonderful, keep the parrots like blah, 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 blah. And this comes from the horse and from the parrot, from the dog and from the cat community. Dogs and cats and horses are one species, only one. But when we talk about parrot keeping, we talk about 80 different species that we keep in our homes. And every species has got its own needs. So we cannot say, oh, we keep an African grey like an eclectus, or we keep an eclectus like an umbrella cockatoo, or we keep budgie like a cockatiel, or we keep a galah like an pionus. Because these are all different species in all living in different in the wild, and they all have different requirements. So the first thing that we ask ourselves, what species do I have and what do I know about my species? Where does it live in the wild? What does it eat in the wild? And what does it like? Where does the parrot search for food in the wild? Does it search on the ground, or does it search up in the tree? It's different if we work on the ground. If we've got a budgie, it goes on the ground where it picks tiny, tiny small seeds. And they usually go there in flocks. So offering them tree toys that hang down is nothing that the bird usually has in the wild, and it does not use in the wild. So offering them a foraging toy that hangs down is not suitable for a budgie, but it's very interesting for an Amazon. And these are all parrots. A budgie is a cheap bird, but for me, as a consultant, a budgie has got the same value as a hyacinth macaw, or as a big Amazon, or as an African grey. It's an individual, and it needs the same care. So when I talk about smaller birds, I also want them to be as happy as possible. And when I offer them foraging toys, I don't give them toys that they usually don't use in the wild, because they don't understand the concept of working this way for food. It's very important that you see how the bird lives in the wild when you offer foraging toys, because otherwise the bird would sit there and not use this toy because it cannot do anything with it. It doesn't understand the concept and how it should use this toy. So look at the wild. Where does my bird live? Goes it on the ground, or lives it in the trees? And where do I use my foraging toys? How does the bird search for food in the wild? Does it gnaw? You've seen the macaw in the beginning. And this bird gnaws and tries to open the almond. But there are other birds that eat a mango, and they take 1 or 2 bites, and then they eat another mango, something like that. And this is also important. How does the bird search in the wild for food? If they fly a lot, or if they go in flocks on the ground, or if they search alone for their food. This is important for me to know, because then I know how to address their needs in my home. Is my bird motivated to search for food? Well, when you give them breakfast, and you give them lunch, and you give them dinner, and they are fed up, believe me, they don't work for food, because they are always fed up. When you have eaten enough and you are not hungry, why should you work? So when you want to work to let them work for their food, you just have to reduce the food in the bowl, or you make it less interesting, you make it boring, something like that. But when your bird is not motivated, it's part of your daily work as a keeper that you just try to motivate them to work for more food. Okay? Does my bird already have foraging skills? This is also very important, because I see a lot of birds that have never ever searched for food. They get their food in the bowl, and then suddenly they realize, oh my dear, there's a toy in the bowl. And they don't understand what to do with it. They don't have any foraging skills. In this keepings, we just work very, very slowly because we want to initiate a learning process. Foraging is something that a bird needs to learn. And if you put the most expensive toy in it that is most difficult, the bird would sit there and say, I simply don't know what to do with that. It's not that the bird is stupid, but it needs to learn how to work for food. This is a learning process. And if we don't have any foraging skills, we always begin very, very easy. So I will show you 2 other videos with 3 toys, and you can write in the chat which treats your birds need, want and like, and maybe somebody can benefit from your ideas. So this is another PVC from the birds that you already saw, and now he is successful. See, oh my dear, it's not that easy. You see, there is another tree toy here. And you don't scream when you are that busy. And here is the other one. And you see here in the background, there's also another toy. And here, get some food, be successful. You can make them yourself. They are not very difficult to make, and they're easy to clean. It's important. See? Trying to get it out. Does not really work. Then he's trying the other one. So many opportunities. Okay. So when we talk about treats, what can we do? Are we waiting till we have the treats? Sunflower seeds. Sunflower seeds are not poison. Everybody says, oh no, we don't use sunflower seeds because they come with high saturated fats, all this kind of stuff. But they are not that poisonous at all. So when we've got a healthy bird and we want to encourage him to work for a little bit of food, we can use sunflower seeds. Not that much, but they are treats. We all need a treat from here and there. We all need a little bit of chocolate or a sweetie or a piece of cake or something like that. And this is sunflower seeds for birds. So when we want to encourage them to work for their food, we can use sunflower seeds. Just be careful, not too much. The same is with nuts. Nuts are wonderful food, and they come with unsaturated fats. And I'm a real friend of nuts. Not so much, of course. But when birds know that there's a walnut or a pecan nut or something like that in a tree toy, believe me, they will definitely work for their food. We can use popcorn, of course. Lakeba's got wonderful popcorn nutty berries. My bird loves them, definitely, but we can make it on our own. Just be sure that it's not that it's unsalted and not with butter, only popcorn, definitely. Fruit, when you offer fruit in treat toys, just make sure that you don't use it as long. It should be eaten in between 1 hour, because otherwise we just have problems with bacteria and with other stuff on the fruit, and then the bird might get infected by some things that are not healthy for it. Dry fruit are better, like banana chips or mango chips or something like that, or dry raspberries or something like that. That can be definitely used. That is not so dangerous for the birds. Parrot bread and biscuits, make it yourself, buy it online. These are wonderful treats for which the birds love. Pasta, dried, and when you use cooked ones, I encourage you to use lentil pasta, because this is more higher in protein for the birds. Protein is something that most parrots are lacking. And when they get protein, they get it from egg, which I don't like. And this is something that where you can use lentils, wonderful, or chickpeas or something like that. So when you just have wet things in treat toys, make sure that they are fast eaten, and otherwise clean them after the bird has eaten them, and not too long definitely. And grain feed, of course, especially for the birds that search for food on the ground. Here we've got Amazon, a Cuban Amazon that is working for food. And this is the first time that he got this treat toy. This is a PVC bottle, and there's a hole in it, and here's a nutty berry. He didn't get it out in this video, so I'm so sorry for the bird. When you use this as the treat toy, just make sure that the bottle inside is dry, because when it's not dry and there's food in it, it will mold, and we don't want that. So you can make it on your own, but make the bottle dry before you put the food in. And you see, he really, really tries to get the food. He sees the food, but he cannot get it, and he tries everything to get it. It's so funny to see this. He was not successful in this video. But you see, he's definitely busy. Poor boy. Okay. And you can, of course, use millet if you want to. Okay, he's still on the run. We leave him alone now. Okay. Skills and abilities of the birds. So this is not a video where the bird is searching for food, but he searched for drink. He was successful. You have to begin. If you don't begin, the bird can get no skills. Paper and cardboard are wonderful material for beginners. You've seen it in the videos. You can make so many wonderful foraging toys that are cheap and that you can offer your bird. Especially when a parrot has never ever worked for food. It needs to be immediately successful. They don't want to wait too long for food. So if they don't get it immediately, they just move away. So working with a toy that is easily destructible is in this way the best way to start for a bird that has no foraging skills. What is the goal? What do you want the bird to do in this with this toy? Distraction or manipulation? If you want distraction, then cardboard and paper and material that the bird can gnaw it is a very, very good idea, especially when the beaks are in a very, very bad shape. When the beaks are in a very, very bad shape, or they too long, then paper and cardboard and balsa are the best ways to just make the beak shorter and get it back into a good shape. I consult Amazon, her name is Laura, and she's 50 years old. She's really, really old, and she's blind. And she had, when I got in contact with the owner, Laura's schnabel was in a really bad shape. It was too long, and she had all these kind of stuff where you think, okay, you just need a vet. But as Laura is so old and she's blind, we didn't want to take her to the vet because we were afraid that she might not survive. So we chose another way, and we offered her cork and we offered her balsa. She cannot work for food because she does not see it, but she began to gnaw, and now her beak in a few weeks got much, 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 much better. If you see your bird and you think, "Ooh, this beak is not in a good shape," and your bird hasn't gnawed for a long time, working with soft things to begin is a wonderful idea. And when the beaks get slowly better, you can get harder in the material, but not in the beginning. In the beginning, you work with cardboard, with balsa, and with cork. And then afterwards, you might use some harder things. Slowly increase the environment. Don't be too fast. Just offer the same toy when it's destroyed several times. When a bird destroys a toy, it's a sign for you that you did the right thing. You bought the right toy, the right foraging game, and you did it right. So you can use the same foraging toy several times. You don't need to make it heavier for the bird or difficult for the bird. When the bird loves the toy, just use it several times and then slowly make it more difficult for the bird. Measure the time that the bird needs to forage. Yet we all have smartphones, and there's a timer in the smartphone. And when you see that your bird begins to forage with the play with the foraging toy, you just tap on it and just let it run. And when you see that the bird is finished, you just tap on it again and stop it, and then you see how much time the bird has spent. And you just write it down, and next time you see it, you just do it the same way. And afterwards, you just see how much time the bird has today used with the toys that you as an owner had made. And tomorrow you do it again. And then you see if the time is increasing or if it's not increasing, and if you need to just offer more toys, or if there is the time that is decreasing and you just have to address behavior with more toys or other toys. So you just have an overlook over what you are doing and if you are successful or not. The keeping. Always attach treat toys so that they are easy to fill and replace. When they are in the last corner, you don't replace them that often. Believe me, I've seen it so many times. Attach them so that the bird can work easily. I see it a lot of times. So when parrot owners offer toys and they tell me they hang them down on the perch under the bird, and I tell them, well, I cannot play in this way. Well, he needs to do some work to play. This is like playing a game with your friends and you put all the stuff on the ground and you sit at the table. Do you have fun? No, you don't. And if you put toys under the bird doesn't play with the toy, it poops on the toy in the worst case. So when you offer toys, they are always beneath the bird so that the bird can play with it and that it can work easily and have fun with the toys. You want your bird to have fun and not to work so hard to have fun. This is not funny. Place treat toys on the floor for birds that search on the floor, like budgies, like galahs. All these birds go on the ground and search there for food. But when you put the tweeters on the ground, you have to make sure that no poop falls in. So you just take a look up and see, oh, where is the bird sitting usually? And there goes the poop, and there is no toy for it. It goes on the side. And usually birds poop on the same place in the cage or in the aviary. You just want them to go on the ground and search for food, but not to poop into the toy that you offered them. So make sure that there is no way to get a bacterial infection from the toy that you are offering. Be always aware at the risk of injury. Don't use anything where the bird might get its claws in, or where it can hurt itself, or where it's too hard, or it can fall down or something like that. Better be safe than sorry. Just make sure that your bird is safe. This is the most important thing. So, purchased or self-built? This is a question that I'm always asked, and I know money is always. Parrot keeping is a hobby that is expensive. Be honest, it costs a lot of money to have parrots. So buying stuff is always a thing that we should discuss. When we talk about buying, we say little initiative is required. You don't need much to buy something, definitely. You can go online if you want to. And you've got a large selection of toys. That's wonderful. And a lot of people spend a lot of effort to bake toys that keep parrots busy. And that is a wonderful idea, especially for those who work hard and don't have much time. They are easy to clean if you've got the right tools. Some are not so easy to clean. So when you buy a toy, I encourage you to ask the first question: how do I keep it clean? If you cannot keep it clean, you don't buy it. That's it. And when you can clean it, do you need special tools for it? Something that opens the toy or something like that. Sometimes you have to buy that too because you don't have it at home. They are quick to fill. Just in the morning, tack, 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 like with Amelia, you make them all full, and then the bird is fine. In the worst case, for 5 minutes, when you are more happy than for longer times. But Amelia was really, really experienced, so she did it all in a few minutes. And it can be repurchased quickly. If they are old, if they get broken or something like that, you can just repurchase them. But the disadvantage is they are very expensive. You spend a lot of money on them. And when the bird knows how to work with them, it's no longer a challenge. They just do it and then they are done. It goes very, very fast. You have to pay close attention to the hygiene. You just have to clean those toys. That's really, really important when you've got those toys that are reusable. You just have to clean them. And not every treat toy is suitable for every parrot because they come in different sizes. And what I find most disappointing is that we don't have enough treat toys for smaller birds, like budgies or cockatiels. And we don't have enough treat toys for bigger birds like macaws, and especially the big cockatoos, like umbrella cockatoos or American cockatoos, because they destroy everything so fast. And it's very, very difficult to enrich them because we don't have things that we can buy. Most of the owners need to work for themselves. And especially for the smaller birds, it's the same way. We have a few toys, but not that much. So these owners are mainly on their own, which is very, very sad. It's here in Germany. I don't know. I've been several times to the US, but I think the problems are everywhere the same. So we talk about building our own toys. These two birds work in the office, and you see they are very, very experienced. So when we build toys on our own, they're usually inexpensive because we've got this box in our home where all the stuff is which I can use, and it's usually in my home. We've got household materials that we can use. And these are always available. I don't have to buy them. A lot of cardboard, a lot of paper things that lie there around or that comes into my house. And I can use many different strategies. I can use so many different strategies because I've got all these stuff that I can use at home. But it's very time consuming. When you build foraging toys on your own, you need time, definitely. You need a lot of stuff that you can also buy, but not that much when you can buy toys that are already finished. But you need to build them. And this can be very time consuming. So you have to just put it on your schedule. Now I build toys for my birds. And you need creativity. When you've had a long day, worked for 8 hours, went to the supermarket to buy some stuff for the family, make a meal, do the washing, and just help other family members, and it's 9 o'clock in the evening, and you still have to make some toys for tomorrow. You are not creative anymore. We are all humans, and we all have other things to do. So it's sometimes really, really difficult. So we have to make it very, very easy, or we have to put it on a schedule for the weekend and just build a lot of toys there and then put them in the cage. And you have to be really creative. We have toy building workshops here online with the owners that we consult every 3 months, where we just meet online and make toys. It's very funny. The next one is tomorrow evening, and we put all the stuff together and build toys, and everybody looks what the other one has built, and it's very, very interesting how the owners build toys, and then afterwards they've got a bunch of them, and we are all together. Sitting alone in a room and making toys on your own isn't that funny, so we just do it together. So materials must be set aside or procured, this is clear, and we've got a high consumption of those toys. You've seen it here with the African greys working in the office, and they are very, very effective in using their toys. So you have got a high consumption of material. The strategy when you work with foraging is also very important. You start slowly with simple tasks, and then you use materials that are easy to destroy, not difficult. Make their lives easier, not more difficult. Make their lives easier. Ensure a comfortable seat. Both feet on the perch, not one foot there and then sitting and trying to get something like that and doing more stretching than foraging. This is not a stretching toy, this is a foraging toy. So make it easy for the bird to sit and to use all the strength in the beak so that it can work. This is important. Don't put it so that the bird just needs to stretch over there. First offer a toy, then increase the difficulty level. Slowly. We are not on a race. This is not a challenge. We just want our birds to be busy. And we increase slowly the difficulty level, not fast. Reduce the amount of food in the bowl. When the bird has the whole food in the bowl and it can eat as much as possible, it will not work for food. It may try, and sometimes it will do it, but it will not work. It just will say, I'm so bored, I try this toy. But working for food means I will not be fed up because I don't have work for my food, because I don't have as much food in my bowl. And if you want your bird to encourage, You just have to reduce the amount of food in the bowl and put it in the treat toys. Slowly you replace the treats from the treat toys with normal food. Not all at once. You've got about 6 foraging toys in the cage. And then in one toy, you put normal food and the others all have treats. And the next day, you use another treat foraging toy, and there you put the normal food in, and the other treat toy from yesterday, that foraging toy from yesterday, you put treat in. So that the bird does not know where the normal food is and where the treat is. This will encourage the bird to just look at all the toys, because when it found its normal food, in the other one might be a treat. It does not know. So this is the way when we just try to go from the food bowl to the foraging feeding, and then use the treats during training. Now you've got a bird that wakes up in the morning, maybe gets a little amount, about a quarter what it usually eats, in the food bowl, and all the other food is in toys, which means that this bird is busy during the morning. And after it has opened all the foraging toys that you offered him, it is fed up, it digests, it's quiet, it has worked for food. And then in the evening, you refill the toys or build new toys. And before the bird goes to bed, it gets the last quarter of its food in the bowl, so that it's got a full crop and it's sleeping. This is how birds usually should live. So after we've talked about all this foraging, how motivated are you to offer treat toys for your parrots? I probably won't have time for that. That is honest. It works fine without those toys. Well, if your bird is in a good health and it gnaws a lot, and the feather is in a good condition, and your bird does not scream, it does not bite, and it has no behavioral problems, maybe you are doing something right. I don't say that everybody must use foraging toys. It's just a way of keeping a bird busy. If your bird is happy and you are happy, never change a running system. It's just an idea. I don't feel like it. Well, if you don't feel like it, maybe, but you've got a bird, and maybe the bird will do it. So maybe this might be a good idea. I'm going to toy shopping now. Wonderful. There's always a bird supplier who appreciates when you buy some toys, and buying toys is a wonderful idea when you don't have the time to maybe build it yourself. I will make my toys for my parrots this weekend. Wonderful idea. Do it. I'm with you. And I hope you will have a lot of fun. Buy yourself a bottle of red wine. Invite some friends and do it together, and you will have a wonderful evening. I'm switching to contrafeed loading, which means you do not feed from the bowl anymore, but you only let the bird forage. This is a wonderful idea, especially for those birds who are experienced and who love to work for food. You are your pet's advocate. No bird that lives in a home, no bird, has ringed your bell with a suitcase under the wing and said, "Hello, I'm here, I want to live with you." We all put them in our homes. We put them in boxes, we brought them home, and we told them, "You live here from now on." This was not their choice. We are the advocates for their well-being. You are responsible for your pet and for the well-being of your pet. You live with it every day. We as consultants come into your home and tell you, okay, this might be a good idea for this bird, and this might be a good idea for this bird, and we can just try this one or that one. But at the end of the consultation, we always leave you, and you live with your bird every day. So you know your bird best. You know how experienced it is, what it is afraid of, what it likes, what it definitely not likes, and you live with it, so you can decide what is good for your bird or what not. We can give you some ideas, and we can help you, and we can consult you, and we can be on your side as your friend and the friend of your bird. But you are responsible for what you are doing. You can and must decide whether the animal feels comfortable, whether all its needs are being met, and whether it can behave naturally. If you are in doubt, ask. There are a lot of consultants which would love to help you. If you are not in a situation where you're not sure, you will find a great community, and they will all like to help you. Okay, we are at the end of our webinar now. I would like to thank you for the attention. And I would like to thank you that you stayed here, and I hopefully hope that you get some new ideas for you and your birds. If you've got any questions, I'm still here and you can ask. Thank you for your attention.
Oh, gosh, thank you, Hilla, for being such a staunch advocate in general for birds worldwide and for all you do to uh, contribute to their quality of life. I can't speak for everybody here, but I certainly took away some new ideas today that I can't wait to put to practice. And um, I really appreciate your focus on safety too, like used egg cartons and toilet paper rolls and fruit with bacteria. I think all those things are really important and don't always get the attention they need. In fact, some people advocate for them to be used. So thank you for reinforcing safety. I think that's really,
Thank you so much.
yeah. There was, I wish that we could procure easily that hanging toy with the 3 tubes that you showed with the macaw. Is that something that your family made or that you can buy in Europe? That was really,
No,
they,
they're self-made. You can
they're
buy all the
self-made.
stuff. Yeah, genau. Yes, and you can buy all the things in the supermarket, or you can buy them online. And there are a
Okay.
variety of opportunities with those tubes.
Yes, yes, it was great. In fact, the Amazons that were on the table with the rolling tube, so they just
Yes,
put a couple of holes. They
yes,
drilled a couple of holes so that the food would fall out, right? So
yeah.
simple, but yet so effective. That was a great idea. Great idea. And just
Yeah.
so everybody knows, the Myers that were kind of foraging in that carpet-like thing that was a dog. What was that material made out of? Was it fleece?
Yeah, that was fleece, and it is usually for dogs or cats.
Okay.
This
So
is why I said
pretty
always
safe.
walk around the corner.
Yeah. Yeah. Okay. Good. There's a dog toy that I've been meaning or a cat toy I've been meaning to get that's got like things that roll around in a circle inside of it. It looked like something that you could put nuts or something and the birds would have to chase it around like a cat would. Anyway, you're right. We should go to that section of the store just to see what they might have. Yeah. Um, there was in the Pioneers video, there were like some hanging things near the window, and I wasn't sure if those were for the birds or they were for her
Yes,
plants, but it was an
yes,
interesting concept. Do you know what I
yeah.
mean? Video? Mm-hmm.
Yeah, the problem in this keeping was you saw the play stand that was standing in front of the window, and the birds were sitting on the play stands, looking outside and screaming like hell for hours. And the owner wasn't aware that looking at that they could look very wide. There was a good landscape, and I assume that they saw birds outside, maybe birds of prey or something like that, and they were afraid. So what we did is we just put something in front of the window so that they could see outside, but not that good, and that they could hide between in that, because in the wild, pianos live in the trees, and usually you don't hear them. But in
Mm-hmm.
this, they screamed, and so I assume that they got stressed because of the wide landscape that they were looking at, and that they had no opportunity to hide there. So the first thing is we gave them an opportunity to hide, and then we just encouraged them to be busy with food, and then the screaming stopped.
Mm-hmm. Ability to hide is
Yeah,
an important concept for all birds everywhere, no matter what's involved. Yes,
they
that
are somebody.
choice for space, right?
Yeah.
But she had hanging in front of the windows, they looked like trays that were on wire or ropes. And I wasn't sure if it was where she could put plants that, because
Shall
the
we go?
concept,
Shall we go back?
if you want to, I mean, the concept could be put to use for birds, I think, too.
Let me see. Where is the video?
They were empty, there wasn't anything in them. But oh, maybe those are play stands.
These are play stands. Here they were sitting screaming outside. And
I
here's what
see.
in front.
Got
Okay?
Okay. I thought it looked like one was actually hanging from the ceiling. So,
No.
okay, got it.
Okay?
Yes, thank you. We have several questions. someone wants to know what you recommend. This was from the beginning before we started deep into your presentation, but she wanted to know more about things to make that are easy for smaller birds, you know, because there's a lot of material that we can use for bigger birds, but smaller birds are not always so easy, right? Any recommendations?
Yeah, the problem is which smaller bird, because when we talk about Parura or
Conures, lovebirds,
yeah,
parrotlets,
yeah,
right?
yeah. So we talk about lovebirds and conures and budgies. These are all different species with different needs. Lovebirds are usually easy because they love paper. Like paper and cardboard are wonderful for them, and you can put a lot of toys for them inside. Birds that forage on the ground are not that easy because there's always the danger of poop in the on the ground. So I always recommend that you put sand or similar material into a small, oh my dear, how do you call it in English? Where you put lasagna or something in.
Oh, like a casserole dish of some kind?
Yeah, castle dish
Pan?
or bigger one, or what you put under plants so that you water them. I
Uh-huh.
don't know the English word at the moment. And you offer them so that the birds can search on the ground, and just to put them some millet or some grain seed inside of this material in sand or something like that. This is what they do in the wild. They walk on the ground and they try to find seeds. And this is how we should make them busy. Just make sure, especially for the one that eat grains and seeds like cockatiels or budgerigars, that it's not so heavy in fat, not millet, but grass seed or something like that, so that they don't get get obese. If we've got other birds like Turura or the South American parakeets, or the parrotlets,
We call conures, yes,
something
right.
like that. Conures love soft materials like balsa.
Mm-hmm.
You can drill holes in the balsa and put sunflower seeds or some nuts in it. They also like cork, and what they especially like is berries. So when we offer them berries, we should offer them with fresh branches with leaves on them. Just make sure that there's no poop from wild birds outside. You just cut them off, don't wash them, cut it off, because poop is material that goes inside the bark and you cannot clean it. And then you wash it, and then you offer the branches with the berries and the leaves. That's highly important. All South American birds need branches with leaves, with green. What I always see is, I always say parrots live in the desert, because I see parrots living in an environment where there are no plants. There are no branches with leaves, and there are no plants for birds. And they sit there with all the toys on branches that are dead for now 10 years. And this is a desert. There is no green. Just watch behind you. These birds are sitting in a tree with leaves. This is where birds live. They live in the green. And we have birds that live in a totally artificial environment, and then we wonder why they behave so strange. I would go crazy. I have got a lot of plants, and my birds love plants.
What a great metaphor. It's just like your metaphor about how birds are basically living the way we did during COVID, very isolated and
Always the same. It's so
so
boring.
predictable. Everything's so predictable.
Yeah.
Have you ever used artificial grass, you know, that you could drop seeds into and for the little birds?
I have heard of that. I am not really sure about that.
Yeah, I guess
I
it
think,
could be dangerous.
yeah, it could be dangerous, especially for cockatiels and for
Mhm.
those birds that like to just put it out. And this is
Mhm.
another hobby. And when it's out, they can gnaw at it. And then suddenly you realize that they cannot digest anymore. And then you need a surgery, which is expensive, and the bird suffers. And I haven't done that yet. And I do not recommend it because I'm not sure about that.
Yeah. Somebody recommended cat scratchers, which is, I never
Yes,
thought about that before, but that, you know,
yes.
they often have little holes in the cardboard. That could be
Cat
interesting
scratchers
approach.
are wonderful. Yes, I've got a lot of parrot owners that use cat scratchers.
Oh,
And
you
some,
do? Uh-huh.
yeah,
Just
yeah.
probably not after the cats used it. I can't think that that would be too safe. Yeah.
No,
Somebody had a good question about how do you make sure that they're not overeating, especially if you have an Amazon, which tends to be a little bit on the chunky side to start with. So, how do you go about encouraging lots of foraging, but making sure you're not feeding them too much.
Okay. I think Amazons are the easier part. Have a galah. Galah doesn't need to eat the food. He gets fed from looking at the food. No, just to be honest, when we talk about Amazons, we work a lot with vegetables. With vegetables, we can use dry vegetables, not cucumber, of course, but there are some seeds like fennel or what we call in Germany kohlrabi. I don't know the English word at the moment.
Yeah, kohlrabi.
Kohlrabi is a wonderful idea where they can search for food.
What do you do with that? What do you take the big kohlrabi and put holes in it, or, or put it on a skewer, or
smaller pieces, something like
smaller
that.
pieces? Okay.
We can use berries. I always recommend for Amazons, they don't get fruit with high sugar. They're always on the upper third of sugar, so they don't get any apples from the supermarket. They don't get any banana. They don't get any grapes. All the foods that are high in sugar are definitely not for Amazons, but you can use berries. And there are several berries in the wild that are very dry that you can put in those treat toys. And
Amazons love usually pods too. That's what they eat a lot of in the wild. Snap peas, green beans, that kind of thing.
Yeah. Lentils, all these kind of things. Yeah, that you just when it's too wet, make sure that it's safe and that it doesn't mold in the toy. So you have to check it regularly.
Somebody wanted to know if they sprayed their toilet paper roll with F10, which is a
nope.
My answer agreed. Nope. There are lots of other options. Why put something toxic like F10 on something toxic like a toilet paper roll? So
when in doubt, no.
No, exactly. So here's another question. Would it be good to put some foraging toys that don't have food put into them, mixed in with the ones that do? Sure. I think that's a great idea.
Yes, you can do this. Just make sure that from time to time the birds are able to find something. I had an African grey that had a treat toy. Those little baskets where you've got the tea in. I don't know what the English word is. Yeah,
baskets with tea.
Not basket, but paper. Where you put tea in.
The little sleeves that the tea bag comes in.
And the fun for this bird was, and they put sunflower seeds in. The fun for this bird was opening these tea thing, not eating, because he always let the sunflower fall down. But opening it was so funny for it that he got a lot of them for having toys. It's a good idea. Just don't overdo it, because when there's only one treat in 10 toys, it's not that encouraging anymore.
Right. As we say in behavior, it has to be motivating, right? So yeah. Sometimes birds like the things that rattle or that shake or that crunch or whatever, but if they don't, then yep, they could get bored, right?
Every bird is an individual.
Exactly. Well, thank you for sharing your evening with us, Hilla, all the way across the ocean here. We're so grateful for your time.
It was my pleasure. I hope you had a little bit of fun, and I could give some ideas to the owners. If there are any questions, just feel free to get back to me. And thank you for having me.
Of course, I know you live a busy life, so we're grateful for the time you've shared with us, and I hope everybody today was inspired to try something new. And our talk next month is the biologist from the Rescate Wildlife Center in Costa Rica, because you know our organization supports a lot of conservation and understanding the life of birds in the wild as well. So I hope you'll come back and join us in September 6th for that. And thanks again, Hilla, and I hope that we'll stay in touch after this. You're a pleasure at the gym.
Thank you so much.
Okay, bye everybody. See you next month.
Bye.